Every year, Polk County Public Schools announces their Teachers and School-Related Employees of the Year. Polk County Public Schools recognize finalists from all 7 districts, and the overall winners were announced at the Inspire Awards presented by the Mid-Florida Credit Union. The Inspire Awards were held November 7th at the RP Funding Center in Lakeland. Now, one of those finalists is Rad Bolt, band teacher at George Jenkins High School. Since he arrived at George Jenkins in 2021, the school band has earned many impressive accolades, including 2 straight Superior Awards from the Florida Bandmasters Association. Joining us in studio is Rad. Welcome to the show.
Hello, I'm happy to be here.
Yeah, so talk to me a little bit about your teaching career. How did it all get started?
Funny enough, I actually wasn't planning on being a teacher when I was going into college. I really enjoyed playing saxophone, and I had great grade school teachers, but I wanted to pursue the dream of playing professionally and playing on Broadway and stuff like that. So I went into college with the intent to just play professionally. But I was getting my degree in music education kind of as a backup plan, trying to be financially responsible. But as I moved through my undergrad and I started getting into those education courses, I had opportunities to work with kids in the classroom around the university I attended. I started to fall in love with the classroom. And as I got into my internship at the end of my undergraduate degree, I was auditioning for schools for saxophone performance. And while I was getting into some of those schools, I made the decision to stay home and get my master's in education. And then ultimately led me to the classroom.
So where are you from originally then?
I grew up in Panama City, Florida.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we had talked kind of before all this had started, and we were talking about teachers inspiring. You had that inspiration from your teachers, and now you're kind of the roles are reversed. Talk to me a little bit about how you inspire the youth of today.
What I find, I have the privilege of teaching my kids for 4 years sometimes, where an English teacher may only have to work with them for a year, then they move on to another teacher. A lot of the times I'll have students come in as freshmen, I get to work with them for 4 years, and so I make the joke with a lot of my parents that your student's going to spend more time with me than they do with you over the next 4 years.
Yeah.
And I take that as a huge responsibility and privilege. One of the ways that I try to motivate my students is I just try to show them what it means to be excited about something. I'm really, really excited about what I do. Even with the long hours, it's a lot of fun, and I try to show them that it's okay to pour your all into something. It's okay to dedicate tons of time and energy to something because the payoff at the end of the day is worth it.
So how long have you been doing this, and where have you been with Polk County School Board all along, or where did you start and where have you been?
This is my 8th year teaching. I taught 3 years over in Pinellas County, and then I had the opportunity to come over to George Jenkins, and I've been there since 2021.
So talk to me about success stories. You've got 8 years into it. There's got to be some kids out there that are aspiring musicians like you once were.
Yes, I have some from my previous gig that have gone on into music administration or music performance as well. One of them is a cellist. She works with the Florida Orchestra now as an administrative assistant, and then I have another student that finished up his undergraduate in percussion performance and is moving on to do his master's now. As more recently, I have several students over the last 4 or 5 years at Jenkins who are playing with university bands all over Florida, and I have some that are majoring in music education as well.
When you see that, like you said, you get them as a freshman when they leave you, as a senior, you've seen that blossom.
Yeah.
Talk to me about the importance of the investment that you put into them, but not only get to see the end run of where it's putting them in life.
I make the analogy with my students about what we do as a garden, and to grow, fruit, to you have to till the ground, you have to put the time in, it takes time before you get to see the results of that work. Music is a craft just like anything else, and it takes a lot of time, a lot of energy, and a lot of frustration to finally get to the point where you can communicate well to your audience. And trying to help students navigate through that difficulty communicating is one of the privileges of my particular job.
One of the things, a great analogy is, I mean, life is tough to begin with, and whether it's sports or music, it takes, what was it John Wooden once said, perfect practice makes perfect. How are you preparing the children of today for the future of tomorrow?
So much of what we do is dictated by our mindset. And something that we have tried to exemplify this year especially has been high school level world-class execution. No matter what we do, whether it's moving from place to place, whether it's the way that we take care of our space at George Jenkins, or the way that we perform on the field or on stage, every part of it needs to be world-class. Regardless of the level that we're playing or performing, every level of it needs to be as high as possible. And, and so I spent a lot of time working on just mindset building. I make the joke with my students that if you think I'm tough, just wait till you get out in the real world.
Well, we had heard in the intro that you've won 2 awards. It's one thing for the kids to win awards, but when a teacher wins awards, talk to me about the FBA award. What exactly is that?
So I was a recipient last year of the FBA Tom Bishop Award, which is an award given to band directors nominated by their peers that have rapidly turned a program around in a positive way, either in explosive numbers growth or quality of performance growth, or both. And it was absolutely a privilege to receive that. And I shot a message to one of my mentors that I interned with because he was a recipient of that award shortly before I had interned with him in my undergrad. And I was like, hey man, just trying to be like you.
That's pretty cool. So let's talk a little bit about a typical day with you. Sure. I mean, do you break it up? Is there, we know that they're all together, but do you have them as freshmen, then sophomores, or is there a complete and total one class where you have everybody? Talk to me a little bit about a typical day.
Sure. So my classes are split up by ability level. So if I'm speaking of it in regards to a sports analogy, it would be a JV and varsity, right? And my kids would be split up based on that. If I'm thinking more academically, it would be an honors class versus an on-level class. And then there's also specialty programs within that where I have all of my percussionists, all my drummers in one class, so that we can focus on their specific needs. I also have a jazz ensemble that operates separately and independently of all of that. I also service our color guard, which operates as the visual component of the marching band.
Oh, yeah.
And then I also started a beginning band my second year at George Jenkins because that first year I found that there were several students who were interested in doing band and they missed that opportunity in middle school for one reason or another, but we didn't have a place for them. So what that looked like for a lot of them was I would say, hey, go watch this video of what all the instruments are and tell me what you want to play tomorrow. And then he'd come in and say, I want to play clarinet. And I said, great, here's a clarinet and here's a fingering chart and here's a bunch of other stuff and I'll see you at marching band tomorrow. And naturally, most of them quit. But with that, I kind of held that in the back of my head, and at the end of that first year, I asked my administration, hey, I think there's a small market for some students that would be interested in learning these skills. And our administration at George Jenkins is incredibly supportive and helped me facilitate that. And this year, I think that program's the biggest it's been with 30 students in it.
So what's in your playlist on your, whether it be MP3 or through your music services? Being a sax guy, what do you like to listen to?
I listen to a little bit of everything. I can make the stereotype. I listen to lots of band music. But what's important with the marching band is that we're playing music that our audience is going to enjoy and that the students are going to enjoy. So whether I like it or not, I try to listen to stuff that's popular these days. I try to listen to stuff that maybe the kids are talking about, and I try to find opportunities for the marching band to perform some of that music, which is a little bit more exciting than maybe something that came out 20, 30 years ago, at least to the students. Yeah. Oh, yeah.
So when the Inspire Awards came out, and I saw the picture where you were presented, well, I mean, how did that hit you? I mean, you still have that new teacher smell for Polk County. So talk to me, how did the award hit you?
I was incredibly surprised. I was a little peeved at my colleagues plus my wife, all in on it, facilitating this surprise. But it absolutely caught me off guard. I was not expecting it at all. Frankly, I wasn't expecting it. Yeah. The awards and stuff on the wall are not the main reason why I do this, obviously.
Yeah, exactly.
So it was truly an honor. And I try my best not to cry.
Well, we got about 30 seconds left. If there's, whether it was the students, the administrator, family, you got here to this point. Who do you thank for that?
The first and most important person would be my wife. Yeah. I'm fortunate that she understands the hustle for lack of a more graceful way to put it. I put in a lot of time and I put a lot of effort on and off the clock to make sure that our students are having the experience they deserve. And especially with a young son at home, it's been challenging. But more than anybody else, she's been my biggest cheerleader, and I can't be more thankful for her support.
Well, listen, I want to thank you for coming in today. Congratulations on the award, the nominations, everything. We look forward to hearing from you again, please.
Thank you so much.
That's going to do it for our conversation with Rad Bolt. Now, we invite you to check out our talks with the other finalists and the entire Inspire Award show. Now, if you need more information, go to polkschoolsfl.com or follow them on Facebook at Polk County Public Schools.